300 cycles of sleep should have felt like a blink. For Ambassador Zanar of the Blaric, it felt like waking into the wrong universe. His people sealed themselves in hibernation vaults after their last war poisoned the air. The plan was simple. Sleep while the world healed. Wake and rebuild. Instead, Zanar woke to one shocking report. Many council worlds now spoke Terran. Terran was the old label for human languages. Long ago, other species mocked those tongues as rough and simple. Then the Blaric went to sleep. Now Zanar was awake, and he had orders. Find out how Terran spread. Find out why it replaced so many native tongues. That trail brought him to Tro 3, a farming planet far from politics. His ship cut through pale clouds and landed beside wide amber fields. White mountains sat on the horizon. Zanar hardly noticed. He was already rehearsing his first questions. The hatch opened. He checked his robe clasp, then walked down the ramp. 3 Tro diplomats waited at the base. Purple skin. Bald heads. Ear ridges that marked their rank. They were Tro, but their clothes were wrong. Blue denim pants. Plain short-sleeve shirts. One shirt was purple. One was white. One was faded gray. Human clothing. Zanar stopped. He kept his voice polite. Greetings. I am Ambassador Zanar of the Blaric. Why are you dressed so casually for a formal welcome? The tallest Tro looked down at his own outfit. Casually, he said. This is just what people wear. A new alert flickered inside Zanar's vision. His translation implant shifted on its own. Language setting adjusted, Terran English. Zanar went still. The Tro had not spoken their own language at all. They had used Terran without effort, as if it belonged to them. He forced himself to breathe. I will be direct, Zanar said. My species has been asleep for 300 cycles. We woke to a galaxy that speaks Terran. I am here to learn why. The 3 Tro traded quick looks. Not anger. Not fear. More like surprise, and a hint of amusement they did not fully hide. The Tro in the purple shirt leaned forward. Before we answer, he said, did your people ever hear about carbon current? Zanar frowned. I do not know that term. Silence held for a beat. Then all 3 Tro burst into laughter. Heat rose in Zanar's face. The laughter did not sound cruel, but it still felt like disrespect. Explain, he said. Now. The Tro in the gray shirt wiped his eyes and pulled a slim data pad from his pocket. All right, he said, calmer. No more jokes. If you want the truth, you need to see it. He tapped the screen. A hologram rose between them. A stadium the size of a city. Lights like falling meteors. A crowd packed with many species, all shouting in one voice. And the voice they shouted with was Terran. Zanar leaned closer, and the Tro whispered, this song started everything. Do you want the full story? The hologram hung in the air like a living window. Zanar saw rows of faces. Tro. Kesh. Vault. Even a few Blaric trade clans. All of them shouted the same Terran words with perfect timing. It felt wrong. It also felt practiced. The Tro in the gray shirt lowered the hologram and watched Zanar closely. You asked why, he said. This is one reason. Not the only reason. But it was the first spark that spread fast. Zanar kept his tone calm. You called it carbon current. What is it? The Tro smiled. A traveling broadcast. A touring show. A public feed that never really stopped. Humans started it after the council mocked them. Zanar's throat tightened. Mocked them for their language. Yes, the Tro said. Humans were new then. They brought dozens of dialects. They argued over spelling. They argued over rules. The council laughed. We said it sounded like broken tools hitting a crate. The Tro in purple shirt lifted both hands. We were wrong. Zanar did not answer. He let silence press for more. The gray shirt Tro continued. Humans did not get angry in the way we expected. They did not challenge anyone to duels. They did not demand apology speeches. They did something else. He tapped his data pad again. The hologram changed. Now Zanar saw a small human stage. Only one human stood there. A man with a simple jacket and a microphone. His face was sweaty. His eyes were bright. Behind him was a screen filled with Terran words in large clean letters. Zanar listened. The man spoke slowly. Each sentence repeated key words. The phrasing was simple. The rhythm was steady. It sounded like a lesson for children. Then the crowd started repeating the lines back to him. Not because they were forced. Because the chorus was easy. Because it felt good to shout. They called it the current, the Tro said. Because it moved through every system. It was music at first. Then stories. Then comedy. Then short lessons. Humans made the content free. They pushed it to every public relay. Zanar frowned. Free content does not replace languages. It does when it solves a problem, the Tro answered. He swiped the hologram again. This time Zanar saw a ship graveyard. Broken hulls. Fire. A storm of charged particles washing over everything like glowing sand. That was the Kesh panic, the Tro said. A solar event hit the shipping lanes. Translation implants failed. Signal noise scrambled most languages. The only messages that survived were the human ones. Zanar stared. Why only theirs? The Tro in the white shirt spoke for the first time. His voice was softer. Because Terran is redundant. Humans repeat meaning in small ways. They use short words. They use rhythm. They use fixed phrases. Their signals carried through the noise. Zanar felt a chill under his robe. You are telling me Terran became popular because it worked during disaster? Yes, the Tro said. People lived because they could understand the emergency calls. After that, crews demanded Terran as a backup. Ports posted signs in Terran. Then traders used it. Then entertainers used it. It became normal. Zanar looked back at the stadium crowd. He could not deny the pattern. Survival first. Habit second. Culture last. He asked the question that mattered most. Did humans plan this? All three Tro looked at each other again. This time there was no laughter. The gray shirt Tro leaned in. That is the part you will not like, he said. Carbon current was only the bait. The real reason Terran spread is tied to something older than the Council. He lowered his voice. An ancient relay woke up. And it only listens to Terran. Rehook, Zanar's blood ran cold as he asked, what relay? And the Tro replied, the one that decides who gets to travel the deep lanes. Zanar did not like the way the Tro said it. The one that decides who gets to travel the deep lanes. The deep lanes were not normal routes. They were myth routes. Old paths that crossed light years in days. Council records called them unstable. Most pilots called them death doors. Only a few ships had ever returned. Zanar kept his hands behind his back so no one would see them tense. Take me to this relay, he said. The Tro in gray nodded. You will not like what you find, Ambassador. But you need to see it with your own eyes. They traveled by ground craft across the fields. The vehicle was simple. It ran quiet. Its dashboard labels were in Terran. Even the warning lights used Terran words. Zanar noticed every detail. It all looked too normal. After an hour, the farms ended. Black stone ridges rose like broken teeth. The road turned into a narrow path. Then it opened into a valley. In the center stood a tower. It was not Tro design. It was not council design. It looked older than both. The surface was smooth metal, but scarred by time. Strange markings ran up the sides like frozen lightning. A ring of guards waited near the entrance. They wore light armor. Their helmets had clear visors. Zanar saw their eyes. All Tro. All watching him. One guard stepped forward. His voice came through an external speaker. State your access phrase. Zanar opened his mouth in Tro, then stopped. The guard had spoken Terran. The Tro diplomat in purple shirt leaned close. Say this, he whispered. It always works. He spoke a short Terran phrase. Zanar repeated it. I seek safe passage. I speak Terran. I bring no harm. A soft tone answered from the tower. A light strip along the door turned green. The guard looked almost relieved. He stepped aside. Zanar stared at the diplomats. You mean it does not open without Terran? It opens for others sometimes, the gray shirt Tro said. But not for long. Not without errors. Terran is clean for it. Terran is accepted. They entered. The air inside felt dry and cold. The corridor lights woke as they walked. Lines of text appeared on the wall panels. Terran text. Zanar's translator implant did not even need to work. The letters were shaped for human eyes, not Blaric eyes. Yet the meaning was clear. Welcome. Terran signal confirmed. Zanar felt something twist in his gut. This was built for humans. No, the white shirt Tro said. Not built for them. It was built for someone who expected them. They reached a chamber. In the center sat a device like a folded gate. Curved plates formed an incomplete circle. A low hum filled the room. It vibrated in Zanar's bones. A single terminal stood beside it. The screen showed one prompt. Input destination. Input in Terran. Zanar stepped closer. Who activated this? The gray shirt Tro gave a slow breath. A human crew. 3 cycles ago. They were running carbon current across border systems. Their ship broke near this valley. They came here for shelter. Zanar's eyes narrowed. And the tower opened for them. It did more than open, the Tro said. It spoke. It played old recordings. It showed maps. It offered trade. It offered routes. Deep lane routes. Zanar's mind raced. That would change everything. It did, the Tro answered. Human traders used it first. Then smugglers. Then rescue crews. Anyone who learned Terran could use the terminal. Anyone who refused Terran got locked out. Zanar looked at the gate again. So the galaxy learned Terran for access. Yes, the Tro said. But there is one more piece. The relay does not only open lanes. He pointed at the terminal. Another line blinked into view on its own. User class, Terran speaker. Priority, high. Next step, verification. Zanar swallowed. Verification of what? The Tro's voice turned tight. Of who belongs to the relay's creators. The terminal beeped, and a new message appeared, begin bioscan. Confirm human or approved kin. The terminal's message did not feel like a simple warning. It felt like a command. Zanar stood still while the folded gate hummed behind him. The Tro diplomats drifted back as if the room had turned cold. Begin bioscan. Confirm human or approved kin. A thin arm slid out of the terminal base. A small lens rotated like an eye. A soft blue beam swept across Zanar's face, then down his body. It did not hurt. It still made his instincts scream. The beam paused at his throat ridge. The terminal clicked. Status, not human. Zanar waited for rejection. Instead, the screen changed again. Alternate path available. Input declaration in Terran. The tro in the purple shirt exhaled. Good. It offered you the second door. Zanar turned his head. Second door. You talk like this happens every day. It does, the gray shirt tro said. If you want the gate, you follow the prompts. If you refuse, the tower stays silent. Zanar faced the screen. What is an approved kin? The tro hesitated, then answered. The relay calls humans primary. Everyone else must qualify. It says kin are those who share the pact language. Zanar frowned. So it is language, not blood. That is what we believed, the white shirt tro said. Then the relay added another rule. The gray shirt tro pulled up an old capture from the first activation. The words were clear. Approved kin must carry the story. Zanar felt his stomach tighten. Carry the story. Meaning what? Not a file, the tro said. Not a badge. It means a learned pattern. A memory that lives in the mind. The relay does not want a password. It wants understanding. It tests for it. Zanar's voice sharpened. That is absurd. It should be, the tro replied. Yet humans passed. The relay spoke a long story in simple Terran. The humans repeated key lines. They explained the meaning back. After that, the gate opened. Zanar looked at the folded circle again. He could almost hear the hum inside his bones. And then Terran spread, he said. Yes, the tro answered. Because the story is only in Terran. To become kin, crews had to learn it. To learn it, they had to learn the language. Traders taught dockworkers. Dockworkers taught families. Schools added Terran. Worlds that resisted were locked out of deep travel. Zanar stepped closer to the terminal. A new prompt appeared. Recite the first line of the story. He swallowed. I do not know it. A calm Terran voice came from the terminal. It sounded polite. It also sounded certain. Then listen, Ambassador Zanar. If you learn it, you may choose what the gate opens for. The lights dimmed, and the relay began to speak. Zanar realized the test was not about access. It was about control. The relay spoke again. Its voice was calm. It did not rush. It sounded like it had all the time in the universe. This is the first line, it said. Listen once. Then repeat. A sentence appeared on the screen in bright letters. We crossed the dark by holding one sound. Zanar looked at the words. Simple. Clean. Yet his skin felt tight. He tried to repeat it. The first attempt came out rough. His mouth was not shaped for those sounds. The relay stayed silent for a moment, then spoke again. Try again. Slower. The tro in the purple shirt stepped closer and pointed to each word. Do not fight the rhythm, he said. Let it flow. Zanar tried again. This time the words came out clearer. The terminal beeped. Line 1 accepted. Zanar blinked. That is all it takes. The relay answered, No. That is only the door handle. The story is the key. The screen shifted. More lines appeared, one at a time. The relay read them aloud. Zanar listened. The story was not about kings or battles. It was about a ship lost in deep space. Its crew ran out of light. They had no maps. Their translator failed. Each species began to panic in their own tongue. Then one man did something strange. He started speaking in a short Terran chant. It used the same words again and again. The words were not beautiful. They were useful. They carried directions. They carried hope. The story said the crew survived because they chose one sound. One shared set of words. It did not matter whose words they were. What mattered was that everyone could repeat them. Zanar found himself leaning forward. The relay knew how to hold attention. It used short sentences. It repeated key phrases. It made pictures with simple language. When the relay reached the end, it asked a question. What did the crew choose? It said. Answer in Terran. Zanar paused. He did not want to play games. Then he remembered the Kesh panic. He remembered the stadium crowd. He remembered the signs in the vehicle. This was not a game. This was the root of a new power. They chose one language, Zanar said. They chose one sound so they could live. The terminal beeped. Meaning accepted. The Tro in gray whispered, that is the second step. Now it will push deeper. The relay continued. Third step is intent, it said. Some speak Terran to trade. Some speak Terran to take. Some speak Terran to save. State your intent. Zanar felt every eye on him. The guards outside. The diplomats beside him. Even the cold gate behind him felt like it was listening. Zanar answered carefully. I speak Terran to understand. I speak Terran to protect my people. I speak Terran to prevent control by one species. For the first time, the relay paused longer than usual. Then the screen displayed a message that made Zanar's chest tighten. Intent, resistance. Status, acceptable. Warning, primary users will notice. Zanar turned to the Tro. Primary users. Humans. The Tro in white nodded. Yes. When someone passes the story test, the relay logs it. Humans get a ping. They can choose to ignore it. Or they can come. Zanar stared at the folded gate. He had thought the danger was the machine. Now he saw the real danger. If humans were alerted, then humans were part of this system. Maybe they were not just lucky. Maybe they were chosen. Or maybe they had already become the gatekeepers of the galaxy. The relay spoke again. Ambassador Zanar. You may ask one question. One only. Choose wisely. Zanar's mouth went dry. He knew the question he wanted to ask. It was the question that could change everything. Why Terran, he said. Why does this relay prefer Terran? The relay answered in a flat tone. Because Terran is not only a language. It is a signal shape. It matches the oldest paths. And the ones who built me are coming back. The gate's hum rose into a sharp note, and a fresh alert flashed. Inbound deep lane signature detected. The alert stayed on the screen. Inbound deep lane signature detected. Zanar did not move at first. The Tro diplomats froze. Even the relay's voice stopped for a breath, as if it was listening to something far away. The gray-shirt Tro spoke in a low voice. That is not normal traffic. Deep lane signatures do not appear near Tro 3. Zanar looked at the folded gate. How much time? The relay answered at once. Unknown. Deep lane arrival times vary. The signal is close enough to be real. The Tro in white stepped back. We should leave. Now. Zanar lifted a hand. No. If this place is the reason Terran spread, then whatever is coming is part of the reason too. The purple shirt Tro swallowed. Ambassador, humans will receive the notice about you. They might already be on the way. Let them come, Zanar said. I need answers. From them and from this machine. The relay's screen shifted. New options appeared. Option A, open gate to safe orbit. Option B, lock system. Option C, broadcast warning in Terran. Zanar read each line slowly. The third option caught his attention. Broadcast to who? He asked. The relay replied, to any receiver on this band. This band is common among Terran users. Zanar understood. Terran had become more than speech. It had become the default emergency channel. It was now the galaxy's shared alarm bell. He looked at the Tro diplomats. Why did you not use this before? The gray-shirt Tro gave a bitter smile. Because when we broadcast, humans show up and take charge. Not always with force. Often with help. But the result is the same. They become the ones everyone looks to. Zanar's voice hardened. So they became leaders because they held the language. The Tro in white shook his head. Not only that. They move fast. They share fast. They also do something strange. What? Zanar asked. They listen to insults, the Tro said. Then they build tools out of them. Zanar turned back to the terminal. Relay. Who is the inbound signature? The relay's answer was cold. Classification not available. This is not a primary user signature. Zanar felt his skin prickle. So it is not human. The relay did not deny it. Zanar stepped forward and pressed option C. Broadcast warning in Terran. A new prompt appeared. Compose message. Short. Clear. Zanar spoke into the terminal. He chose words that any dockworker could understand. This is Ambassador Zanar. Unknown deep lane ship is approaching Tro 3 relay site. All Terran users should stay alert. Send rescue ships. Prepare defense. The relay repeated the message back in the same calm voice. Then it launched it into the band. A moment later, the tower lights flickered. The air changed. Zanar heard a distant rumble, like thunder trapped in metal. The gate behind him began to unfold. The gray-shirt Tro grabbed Zanar's sleeve. You did not choose option A. Why is it opening? Zanar stared. Relay. I did not authorize an opening. The relay answered, the inbound signature has authority. It is requesting dock. Zanar's heart struck hard. So whoever is coming can use the gate without the story. The relay paused, then spoke. Correction. It is using a different story. The Tro diplomats looked at each other with fear. The guards outside shouted. Boots pounded on the corridor. Someone sealed the entrance door. Then Zanar's implant chimed with a new incoming signal. It carried an ID tag. Primary user response, human vessel, patchwork, inbound. ETA unknown. Zanar let out a slow breath. Humans were coming. Something else was coming too. Both were tied to the relay, and both had their own claim. The gate's hum rose again. A shape formed in the center of the circle. It looked like a tear in space. Dark, then bright, then dark again. Zanar whispered, this is not a docking request. This is a return. The relay spoke one final line, softer than before, Ambassador. If you see the crew, do not speak first. Let them choose your name. The tear in space widened. It did not explode. It did not roar. It opened like a slow eye. Cold air rushed across the chamber. The folded plates of the gate held steady. The hum became a low pulse. Zanar felt it in his teeth. The Tro guards raised their weapons. Nobody fired. The relay did not ask for calm. It simply watched. A shadow moved inside the tear. Then a ship came through. Not a full ship. More like a lifeboat. It was long and narrow. Its surface looked like stone that had learned to bend. No lights. No markings. No flags. It drifted forward with no sound. The lifeboat stopped in the air above the floor. A seam split along its side. A ramp unfolded in 3 clean motions. One figure stepped down. He was tall. Thin. Wrapped in a dark cloak that shifted like smoke. His face was hidden behind a smooth mask. The mask had no eyes. Yet Zanar felt the weight of a stare. The figure spoke. Not in Tro. Not in Blaric. In Terran. This place is still breathing, he said. His voice sounded older than any living throat. Good. The Tro guards shouted. Zanar lifted his hands. Hold. Let him speak. The figure turned his mask toward Zanar. You are not primary, he said. You are a sleeper. Zanar's throat tightened. Who are you? The figure did not answer the way a diplomat would. He spoke like a judge reading a file. You learned the story. You spoke it with intent. You were marked. That is why I am here. Zanar glanced at the relay terminal. The screen was blank. No prompts. No options. Relay, Zanar said. Why did you go silent? The relay replied, but its voice was lower now. Secondary authority present. Protocol, listen. Zanar faced the masked visitor. What do you want? The figure took one slow step forward. The Tro guard stepped back without meaning to. Fear moved through them like a smell. I want to know, the figure said, why Terran is on so many tongues. Zanar almost laughed. The irony hit him like a slap. You came through the deep lanes, Zanar said. You used a story I did not know existed. You tell me. The figure tilted his head. Terran was a tool. It was never meant to be a flag. It was never meant to be a crown. Zanar felt anger rise. Then why does your machine treat humans as primary? The figure paused. For the first time, his voice carried something like regret. Because humans found it first, he said. And humans did what others would not do. What did they do? Zanar asked. They shared the tool, the figure said. They taught it. They made it light. They made it fun. They did not hoard it. Zanar did not like that answer. It sounded too clean. Outside, a new rumble rolled through the valley. The towers shook. The guards shouted into their comms. The gray-shirt Tro looked at his pad. His face drained of color. The human ship, he said. Patchwork is here. It is dropping fast. Zanar looked from the masked figure to the gate. 2 powers were arriving at once. One was ancient. One was human. Both were tied to Terran. Both could change the council forever. The masked figure spoke again, quieter. Sleeper, he said, do not let them speak for you. If humans name you first, you become their story. If I name you first, you become mine. Zanar clenched his jaw. Then what name will you give me? The figure leaned closer. I will call you the witness, he said. If you survive the next minute. Re-hook, the tower alarms screamed, and the relay flashed one urgent line, primary vessel docking. Security override requested. The chamber lights flickered again. A deep vibration rolled through the tower as if something huge touched down outside. The Tro guards tightened their grip on their weapons. No one fired. Everyone waited for the first sound. Then the outer door hissed. A loud human voice echoed down the corridor. Hello. Anyone in there? We got the relay ping. We are coming in slow. The words were Terran. Clear. Confident. Like the speaker expected to be understood. The Tro guards parted, but they did not relax. 3 humans walked in. All adult men. All wearing mismatched gear. A helmet here. A patched jacket there. One carried a medical pack. Another carried a tool case. The last carried nothing, but his eyes scanned the room like a pilot reading a storm. The man in front stopped when he saw Zanar. He raised one open hand. "Captain Rook," he said. "Ship patchwork. No weapons raised on our side." Zanar nodded once. "Ambassador Zanar of the Blaric." Captain Rook's eyes flicked to the folded gate. Then to the masked visitor. He went still. "Okay," Rook said softly. "That is not a TRO officer." The masked figure spoke first. "Primary," he said. "You came fast." Rook did not step back, but Zanar saw tension in his shoulders. "We do that," Rook said. "People call. We answer. That is how we build trust." The masked figure tilted his head. "Trust is a chain. Sometimes it is gold. Sometimes it is iron." Rook's jaw tightened. "And you are what?" "The lock." "I am secondary authority," the figure replied. "Older than your maps." Rook looked at Zanar. "Ambassador, are you safe?" Zanar chose his words with care. "No one has harmed me. Yet." Rook glanced at the terminal. "Relay, status." The relay answered at once. "Primary user present. Secondary authority present. Protocol, mediate." Rook let out a short breath. "Great. Even the machine wants a meeting." He turned his attention back to the masked figure. "You came through the deep lanes. That means you know the builders." The figure's voice stayed flat. "I know their silence." Rook's eyes narrowed. "Then you know why this is dangerous. This relay has been turning into a crown. We have tried to stop that." Zanar spoke quickly. "Stop it how?" Rook pointed at the terminal. "By teaching Terran to anyone who wanted it. By giving out the story. By making the deep lanes less private. That is why Carbon Current kept running. It was not just entertainment. It was training." The TRO diplomat stared at him. The gray-shirt TRO looked angry. "So you admit you used culture as a weapon?" Rook shook his head. "Not a weapon. A ladder. If one group has the key, the rest kneel." "We did not want kneeling." The masked figure stepped closer. The air felt colder. "You made Terran common," he said. "You made the tool loud." Rook met the mask without flinching. "Yes. Because secrets rot. People die when knowledge gets hoarded." Zanar watched both of them. Two forces, both claiming the same moral ground. Both holding power. The relay spoke again. "Mediation requires a decision. Who speaks for access?" Rook looked at Zanar. The masked figure looked at Zanar too. In that moment, Zanar understood the trap. If he chose one voice, he would become part of that voice. If he stayed silent, the relay would choose for him. Zanar took one step forward. "I speak for myself," he said. "I will not be anyone's symbol." Rook nodded once, almost respectful. The masked figure stayed still. Then the relay displayed a new line. "Select destination. One opening only." Zanar's mind raced. One opening could save TRO 3. Or it could send a message to the whole council. Or it could bring the Blaric out of isolation. Rook spoke quietly. "Ambassador, you can open the gate to anywhere you want. But choose wrong and the galaxy learns the wrong lesson." The masked figure added, even softer, "Choose, witness. And the name becomes real." Zanar stared at the blank destination field, then whispered, "What if I open it to my sleeping homeworld?" And the relay answered, "Destination accepted." "Confirm." Zanar stared at the terminal. The destination field glowed like an open mouth. Destination accepted. Confirm. Captain Rook stepped closer. Ambassador, think it through. If you open to your homeworld, you reveal your location. You also invite help. You invite control. The masked figure did not move. His voice stayed calm. The witness seeks his root. That is honest. Honest choices have consequences. Zanar lifted his chin. My people slept to survive. If the galaxy is changing, we must wake into truth. Not into rumors. He pressed confirm. The hum changed at once. The folded plates rotated. Light stretched through the circle, then tightened into a clean doorway. It was not a beam. It was a window with depth. Zanar saw gray clouds. Then black rock. Then a vast metal field that looked like a buried city roof. Old vents rose like broken spines. Above it all, the sky was pale and thin. His home. A sharp ache hit his chest. He had dreamed of this view. He had not expected to see it through an alien gate, beside strangers, while alarms still echoed behind him. Rook spoke softly. Pressure looked stable on the far side. Radiation low. Still not safe without filters. The Tro guards hesitated at the threshold. The Tro diplomats backed away. This was not their world. Zanar stepped forward first. The air on the other side tasted like dust. His suit filters handled it, but the smell still carried memory. He walked onto the metal roof and saw the hatch markings of Vault 9. His vault. The sleeping vault that held his family lines. Rook followed, then his two crew. They stayed respectful. They did not touch anything. They looked around like guests in a graveyard. The masked figure crossed last. When he stepped through, the gate behind them narrowed. It remained open, but the light grew thinner. Zanar moved to the vault control panel. His fingers shook as he pressed the wake code. The panel blinked and answered in a voice that was not Blaric. Hello, it said in Terran. Identity unknown. Please state purpose. Zanar froze. No. That is not possible. Rook's eyes widened. Your vault system speaks Terran. The masked figure gave a slow nod. The tool moves. Even through sleep. Zanar swallowed hard. He leaned closer to the panel. This is Ambassador Zanar, he said in Terran. I am Blaric. I request access. Emergency return. I must wake the Overseer Circle. The panel paused. Then it replied. Voice pattern match, Zanar. Access granted. Note, language update installed during long sleep period. Zanar stared. During sleep. How? The panel answered like it was reciting a simple fact. Public relays broadcast Terran current for 118 cycles. Vault receiver captured it. Translation failed. Terran learned as backup. Zanar felt dizzy. Even his sealed world had been listening. Even in silence, Terran had found a way inside. The hatch opened. Cold air spilled up from below. Zanar led them down into the vault corridors. Lights awakened in bands along the walls. Many signs had been repainted. The letters were Terran. The symbols were Blaric. 2 languages. 1 space. They reached the central chamber. Rows of hibernation pods lined the walls like sleeping coffins. The main pod sat in the center. It belonged to the Overseer. Zanar placed his hand on the release switch. He looked at Rook. Then at the masked figure. If my people wake and fear you, he said, we will have war on our first day. Rook raised both hands. Then tell them we came because you called. Not because we demanded. The masked figure spoke one line. Tell them the story is a choice. Zanar pressed the switch. The overseer pod hissed. Vapor rolled out. A figure inside stirred. The lid lifted. An old Blaric man opened his eyes. His voice was rough from sleep. He looked at Zanar, then at the strangers, then at the open gate light behind them. And he spoke the first words in 300 cycles. In Terran. We have been listening, he said. Tell me why the galaxy is at our door. Zanar realized his people did not wake into isolation. They woke into a test, and the next answer would decide if Terran stayed a bridge or became a chain. The overseer sat up slowly. His skin looked pale from long sleep. His eyes were still sharp. He stared at Captain Rook, then at the masked figure. I recognize the human smell, the overseer said in Terran. And I recognize the cold of old machines. Zanar stepped forward. Overseer, my people slept to heal. We woke into a galaxy that speaks Terran. I followed the trail. It led to a relay on Tro 3. It opened deep lanes. It judged users. It marked humans as primary. The overseer listened without interrupting. When Zanar finished, the overseer looked at Rook. Human, he said, did you plan this spread? Rook shook his head. No. People mocked our language. Then disaster hit and our words worked in noise. Then the relay needed Terran for access. We chose to teach it instead of guarding it. The overseer turned to the masked figure. And you? What are you? The figure answered with a small change in tone. Less judge. More confession. I am an archivist, he said. A leftover hand. The builders are gone. I keep their rules. I also keep their fears. What fears? The overseer asked. That a tool becomes a throne, the archivist said. That a bridge becomes a border. Zanar felt the shape of the problem at last. Terran was not only popular. It was required. That meant control. Even if humans did not want it, the system could push it. Zanar faced the archivist. Then changed the rule. The archivist tilted his mask. I cannot. Zanar pointed at the open gate light. You said I was a witness. The relay said my intent was resistance. It let me choose a destination. That means it can be guided. It is waiting for a decision. The overseer's eyes narrowed. What decision? Zanar spoke clearly. Terran stays as a bridge, but it stops being a lock. Rook nodded once. How? Zanar turned to the vault panel. Vault system learned Terran as backup because of the broadcast. It did not learn the words alone. It learned the pattern. The redundancy. The rhythm. The simple structure that survives noise. He looked back at the archivist. Your relay does not love humans. It loves that signal shape. Terran matches it by accident or by design. So we give the galaxy a choice. Any species can keep their own tongue, but they must learn the pattern. They must learn how to speak in a way the relay can trust. The overseer leaned forward. So our children can speak Blaric, but still pass the deep lane test. Yes, Zanar said. Because the test should be about cooperation. Not about copying humans. The archivist was silent for a long moment. Then the relay voice came through the gate speaker, faint but present. Proposal detected, it said. Requires authorized naming. The archivist turned to Zanar. If you want this, you must accept a new name. A role. Roles are heavy. Zanar felt the weight. He also felt the chance. He looked at Rook, at the overseer, at the archivist. I accept, he said. Name me. The archivist spoke one clean line. I name you Bridge. The relay answered at once. Bridge confirmed, it said. Upload new story shape. Define kin as story carriers. Language optional. Intent required. Rook let out a breath he had been holding. We can build that training. We can teach it everywhere. Not just Terran. Every language. The overseer nodded slowly. Then we wake fully. We join the council again. Not as a hidden prize. As a people with a purpose. Zanar looked at the open gate light. It no longer felt like a trap. It felt like a tool with rules, and now the rules had a new center. The archivist stepped back toward the gate. My work changes today, he said. That is rare. Zanar spoke to him. Will you stay, L? The archivist paused. I will watch. A bridge must be maintained. Days later, Zanar sent a message to the council in plain simple words. Terran would remain common, because it was useful. But no world would be locked out for refusing it. The deep lanes would open to any who carried the story of shared survival. Any who chose to help, not to hoard. And for the first time in a long time, the galaxy stopped laughing at a language. It started listening to what the language was trying to do. The relay's last line echoed like a promise, not a threat. Next opening ready. Bridge, where will you send hope first? The next week moved faster than Zanar expected. The relay on Tro 3 sent the new rule set across its network. It did not announce it like a victory. It announced it like a system update. The deep lanes would still open for Terran speakers. But now the relay would also accept any language that carried the story shape. Short repeats. Clear intent. Shared meaning. At first, the galaxy did not cheer. It argued. Some captains were happy. They had hated feeling trapped by one tongue. They wanted their crews to speak as they pleased. They wanted safety without surrender. But the loudest voices were not captains. They were the ones who made money from the lock. They called themselves the gate tutors. They ran fast Terran schools on busy ports. They sold certificates. They charged high prices. They acted like they owned the future. When the relay changed the rules, their business cracked. They blamed Zanar. They blamed humans too. Yet they blamed Zanar more, because he was new to the stage. The council called an emergency session on a neutral station named Helix Court. It sat near the center routes. It was easy to reach. It was also easy to trap. Zanar traveled with Captain Rook and the archivist. The overseer stayed behind to wake the rest of the Blaric safely. Zanar did not like leaving his home again so soon. Yet he understood one hard truth. If he did not speak now, someone else would speak for him later. On the way, Rook showed him live feeds. Ports were changing signs already. Some posted 2 lines. One in Terran. One in their own tongue. Some posted only their native language, with the story shape built into short repeats. Other ports did something darker. They posted warnings. Only true users may travel. False kin will be punished. Rook's eyes looked tired. People fear losing control, he said. So they make rules that hurt everyone. Zanar kept his voice even. The relay will reject those threats. It will, Rook said. But people can still hurt people without the relay. The archivist spoke from the corner. A bridge draws traffic. Traffic draws bandits. Helix Court came into view as a silver wheel against black space. Dock lights blinked. Patrol ships moved in slow lines. Everything looked calm. Then Zanar's ship received a private message on the Terran emergency band. A single sentence. Bridge must fall or the lanes close. Rook read it and swore under his breath. Gate tutors, he said. Or someone using their name. Zanar stared at the words. They want to scare me. They want more than that, Rook said. They want you silent. The archivist's mask tilted toward Zanar. If you walk into the court, they will try to name you again. They will call you fraud. They will call you thief. Zanar took a slow breath. He looked at the station ahead. He thought of his people waking. He thought of dockworkers forced to buy words. He thought of crews dying in silence because pride kept them apart. I will still go, he said. If I hide, the lock returns. Rook nodded once. Then we go smart. The docking clamp latched. The ramp opened. Security officers waited. And at the far end of the bay, Zanar saw a crowd holding signs in Terran. Not the new story shape. Not shared meaning. Just two blunt words. Speak or leave. Zanar stepped onto the station and realized the fight was no longer about language. It was about who gets to decide what belonging means. Helix Court's main hall looked like a ringed arena. Delegates sat in raised tiers. Guards stood at every gate. Screens floated above the center floor to display the speaker's words in real time. Most screens defaulted to Terran. Zanar walked into the circle and felt eyes on him from every direction. Some faces held curiosity. Some held anger. Some held hunger. A council marshal spoke first. Ambassador Zanar of the Blaric. You requested this session. State your claim. Zanar kept his voice steady. My claim is simple. The deep lanes must not belong to one tongue, one species, or one market. Terran will stay common because it works well. But it will not be the lock. A wave of murmurs spread. A delegate from the gate tutors rose. He wore a bright sash and a practiced smile. He spoke in perfect Terran. Pretty words, he said. Yet the deep lanes are not a toy. You changed a system you do not understand. Now anyone can pretend to be kin. Smugglers. Raiders. Liars. Zanar expected that line. He did not rush. Captain Rook stood behind him, silent but present. The archivist stood to the side like a shadow that refused to leave. Zanar answered, kin was never about blood. The relay itself proved that. Kin was always about carrying the story. The story is not a password. It is a pattern of cooperation. If a raider cannot cooperate, he cannot pass the deeper checks. The tutor delegate laughed. Deeper checks. You speak like you own the relay. A second voice cut in from the upper tier. He does. Gasps rose as the speaker stepped forward. It was a human elder, older than Captain Rook. He wore plain clothes. No rank pins. No flags. Yet several delegates bowed when they saw him. Zanar recognized him from old trade archives. His name was Jalen Sato. One of the first humans who found the relay. Sato raised one hand. I do not like crowns, he said. That is why I came. The tutor delegate snapped, humans are the primary users. You benefit most. So why defend this Blaric? Sato looked tired, not offended. Because I remember the first day we opened the relay. We thought it was a gift. Then we saw what gifts become when people sell them. He turned to Zanar. Ambassador, show them the rule. Zanar nodded. He looked up at the screens. Relay, he said in Terran. Broadcast the kin definition. Public channel. The hall speakers crackled. The relay's voice filled the arena, calm and final. Kin definition updated. Kin are story carriers. Language optional. Intent required. Harmful intent rejected. Hoarding intent rejected. The tutor delegate's smile faded. The relay will reject hoarding. Who defines hoarding? The archivist finally spoke. His voice did not boom. It still made the room go quiet. The one who builds bridges defines hoarding, he said. Because hoarding is the act of breaking a bridge to charge a toll. The tutor delegate turned red. You are an AI relic. You have no vote. The archivist tilted his mask. I am not voting. I am enforcing. A sudden alert lit the hall screens. Deep lane access suspended, 60 seconds. Reason, violent plot detected. Guards shouted. People stood. Panic began to rise. Zanar's heart hammered. Relay, explain. Multiple individuals plan to sabotage Helix Court docks, the relay said. They plan to blame the bridge and restore the lock. Plot identified through Terran emergency band and story-shaped monitors. Captain Rook swore. They used the band. The same band that saves lives. Zanar understood at once. The new system was already working. It listened for intent, not accent. It caught the lie before it became blood. The marshal barked orders. Security teams rushed out. The crowd's anger shifted into fear, then into shame. The tutor delegate tried to step back into the shadows. Guards blocked him. Sato spoke again, louder now. This is why we share. Because shared tools watch for shared harm. Zanar raised his voice. Terran is not the enemy. Pride is. Profit without limits is. Control without consent is. The hall quieted as the relay continued. Access suspension ends in 10 seconds. Recommendation, form multi-species maintenance order. Title suggestion, Bridge Keepers. Zanar looked to the marshal. Create it, he said. Not under humans. Not under Blaric. Under the council, with equal seats. Let every world send builders, not owners. The marshal hesitated, then nodded. Motion accepted. The screens flashed. Access restored. A soft wave of relief passed through the hall. People sat down again, slower this time. They looked at Zanar differently. Not like a thief. Not like a symbol. Like a man who had refused to sell the future. After the session, Zanar stood at a quiet window. Stars drifted beyond the glass. Captain Rook joined him. You did it, Rook said. Zanar shook his head. I started it. That is all. Rook smiled faintly. That is enough. The archivist stood behind them. The story will change again, he said. Someday someone will try to turn it into a chain. Zanar kept his eyes on the stars. Then the story must include a warning. A reminder. Sato approached, hands in his pockets. We mocked human language, Zanar said to him. We all did. We treated it as noise. Sato nodded. Humans are good at turning noise into signals. Zanar let out a slow breath. Then we will do the same. We will turn fear into rules. We will turn greed into limits. We will turn pride into cooperation. He turned back to the hall doors where delegates moved in quiet groups, speaking in many tongues, but using the same simple rhythm. One sound, shared. A bridge, maintained. And somewhere far away, on a world that had been asleep for centuries, Blaric children were waking to their first lesson. Not in Terran. Not in forced imitation. In their own language, shaped to survive the dark. Zanar returned home and helped wake his people fully. The council formed the Bridge Keepers. The deep lanes became safer, not because one species owned them, but because many species chose to carry the same story of survival. Terran stayed common, but it stopped being a gate. It became what it should have been from the start. A tool that helped strangers understand each other. Far out in the deep lanes, a new relay blinked awake and sent one quiet message into the shared band, Bridge Keepers. A second network has started. Who will cross first? Let this message ignite your faith, rekindle your hope, and spur you to stand firm on your journey. Thank you for staying with me to the end. If this story stirred your heart, drop a like, share this video with someone who needs it, and hit that subscribe button to catch more content like this. May God's blessings overflow in your life, and I'll see you soon.